Hello everybody, this is KyleIceW and welcome back to another video. Wizard101 was created in September 2nd of 2008. This game has been through so much ups and downs, and from when the game first started, it was so much different than it is now. And I think that they created a lot of things that made the game great. It's always been kind of ahead of its time. Wizard101 was always a very unique game, having the ability to play a card game as like a wizard. And it was amazing. It was great, especially when it first came out. Everybody that I talked to knew about this game. But now, this game has gone from kind of the top, not to the very bottom, but there's a lot of things that this game is lacking that other games have. Wizard101 needs to kind of step up the game a little bit. So, in this video, we're going to be talking about 10 things that should be in the game. And I'll just kind of start from one. I might jump around the spiral to kind of explain each individual thing that I think should be in the game. This is not in any sequential order, and I hope you guys will enjoy. Alright, so let's get started. Okay, so we didn't move very far for the first one, but the first thing that I want to talk about is banks. So we already do have a bank for our equipment, because when we run out of storage in our bag, if we're just kind of running through the spiral, defeating fights, and we get gear, it will just go straight into our bank because we can't get enough storage. But what happens when you have max gold, to the max gold capacity, and you have full gear, or I guess full, bag space and bank space? The worst thing that's almost the worst thing that could happen. In fact, I saw a picture of this on Twitter recently, and I think that we should have the ability to have a bank. We could use any one of these buildings. They could update the building to make it look better. They could even do the thing where they made it look like they were doing construction when they were redoing Wizard City. It was unique and it was actually pretty cool. But they could make a bank specific for a building like this. You could go in it and you could do more than just kind of store your gold into, which would already be an amazing feat to the game. But you could maybe buy stocks. You could do things that could create interest, and this would bring like a whole new way to play Wizard101, because once you start a new character and once you make a little bit of gold, you can immediately put it into a bank and make a little bit of gold off of it. Of course, there would probably be a limit to how much you can store into a bank, but I feel like it would bring a little bit more to the game, and I feel like it would kind of give more life to playing rather than just kind of go through sequential order through the storyline. And yeah, I think that might be number one is a bank. Okay, so for number two, once again, we didn't go very far. We should have a message board, or a mission board, you could say. You could use any single building in the commons again, or even Old Town or anywhere else. But having a little building that you could go into, and there might be like adventures in there, talking to you about how to use the mission board or anything like that, would bring an amazing new idea to play the game. It would be really cool if you could just take up missions to earn cool gear, unique things, unique treasure cards. It could be kind of like a little dungeon. It'll put you into any world. You could go to like Grizzleheim, you could go camping, you can go do a whole bunch of stuff, collect quests. It would just bring a whole bunch of new stuff to the game, and it wouldn't be storyline based. You could do it as kind of like a little mission, and it would be really cool if you could do it with friends, and I think it would just be a really great thing that they could add into the game that would bring a lot more variety to the normal game. And yeah. Alright guys, third thing that I think we should be talking about, or something I should be added into the game, is guilds. We have crossed, or almost crossed, the line to getting to guilds. This is something that I know a lot of people have talked about, and like I said, we're getting closer and closer to doing. We already have the ability to create groups with a bunch of people. We have the ability to talk in a group chat with a bunch of people. We can even have, when we're in a group with somebody, have the ability to complete quests, I believe, with them. So we're getting there. One thing I think that we should have when we have guilds, not only can you create the guild, have your own name, maybe even create your own like emblem for your guild, which would be really, really cool, but you could have a storage, money storage for your guild, maybe like certain gear that you could have for your guild that you can store somewhere, guild battles, tournaments that would create a lot of cool streaming content for a lot of people, and then guild housing. It would give you the ability to maybe give them certain titles when you're in a guild, maybe like captain and all the other certain stuff, lieutenant, whatever you want to name it, and then you could actually have them build in your house. It'll give them the ability, once if they're high enough, I guess, you know, stat or whatever they are, they can help you in building a house or you know, anything like that. And I think guilds would be such a great addition to the game. It would give a lot more community feel to the game, and yeah, give you something else to do, if that makes sense. So that's something else I think should be added to the game. Let's go ahead and check out number 4. Okay, so for our number 4, I think that they should add an armory / smith place anywhere. They could add it in every world, they could add it, or even in just Wizard City. But I think it would be really cool if you had the ability to kind of create your own weapons. It would make your character more personalized, it would make you feel kind of a little bit more important and more unique, especially if you're running around with a weapon that you created. Now, I've seen a couple games like Hytale. I'm super excited for that game, my anticipation. But they actually have the ability to do even more. I think you can create like mobs or levels or a whole bunch of other crazy stuff. And a lot of games nowadays have this. Some of them have it better than others, like more features than others. But when I saw Hytale having the ability to create your own weapons, it blew my mind. And I've seen other people do it, but Hytale just got me going. So I feel like Wizard101 should have that ability, and I know it's probably hard to do, but make you utilize all the pixels and the effects and kind of create your own weapons would be pretty cool. And especially if you had a little area to go to do it, you could add people that would help you to understand how it's done. And this would just be something to do if you would want to. You could even, you know, make it with crowns if you really wanted to, or gold to have maybe like less things to do. So if you did it with crowns, you could make more unique weapons, and if you did it with gold, you can kind of make relatively basic but still personalized to your character, which would be really cool. Alrighty, so for number 5, I was thinking friend battles. So right now we are in the Monster Dome. Don't have any special people to fight, but when you are in another game like an RPG, MMO, which is what Wizard101 is supposed to be, you can actually friend somebody and just go straight to a battle. Like you'll go to friends, you'll click on their friends, and like here you have all these options. There would probably be an option where you can battle a friend. And basically all it would do is give you the ability to just fight that character, and once you win, the battle's over. Now, what you could easily do for Wizard101 is when you have that ability to fight somebody, you could click it and it would just teleport both of you, and anybody else could teleport to you after you port away with that person, to a place like this where you could just kind of fight them, and it would be really cool. I think it would be extremely unique, and then once the battle's over, you just teleport everybody right back to where they were, which would be super cool, and I think it'd be an extremely interesting thing to add into the game. It would make the game more like an MMO RPG, as most MMO RPGs actually are. But yeah, that's just one thing I wanted to throw into the mix, and that would be our number 5. So let's go ahead and go to our number 6. Alright, so for number 6, I think we should do and talk about another one of my favorites that a lot of people have been talking about but haven't actually really gone in depth with it, and we're not going to go too in depth, but one thing I think they should add for number 6 would be flying. This could pertain to anything. For example, like all of these flying things right here, create a cool animation to fly around, but even just a character, but mainly flying around with a mount. I know this has been talked about on one of their KI lives, and I was relatively interested because they mentioned how it would be a very hard thing to do, and one thing that they always wanted to kind of keep is the ability for even somebody that has kind of a poopy computer, kind of like me, to actually just play and not lag as much, because a lot of games nowadays are very high depth, and it costs a lot of capacity, and some computers aren't meant for that, and that would include flying mounts, like World of Warcraft. You can jump on a mount and fly to any destination, which is amazing. It's a cool feat, something that Wizard101 should and have the ability to do. If people would want to. So to do so, they could create like mini games or even just areas where you could jump on a mountain and fly around, which would be so cool. And I think maybe specific worlds like, you know, Imperia should have areas where you can fly around, or even a quest line that would get you to do so. And it would just bring a lot of more entertaining things into the game, something that people could do for a little while. Even create, like I said, a mini game where you guys could win certain things. Going back to the whole mission board thing, it would give a really cool, unique quest or mission if you all could just jump into a mission and fly around and do stuff. But yeah, I think that would be number 6 would be a cool thing to add into the game, would be flying. So yeah. For number 7, I think this one would be pretty unique, going along with a lot of things. So I know and I feel like a lot of people have thought of this, but I don't think anybody has actually talked about it. Or I could just be not looking very hard. But another thing I think that would be really, really cool would be spells. So right now in Wizard101, to keep it pretty cool, you know, with a deck of cards, is once you place down a card, you summon a beast or a monster that you can use to fight in battle. But one thing that I always thought was really cool is when you're a wizard, you can actually use your own abilities like ice, fire, lightning, blah blah blah. And in Wizard101, all you're doing is kind of using spells. You're not actually jumping into the battle and doing anything yourself. So I think something that would be really cool, and I know some weapons allow you to jump into the battle yourself, like the dual circle, and use an ability. But is to have a spell card that allows your actual character to go in and do a crazy animation and then hit enemies, which would be so cool, super unique, and I think it would bring a lot more life to the game because it would make you feel like your character is actually doing something cool, rather than, you know, just standing in the battle and just summoning you know, little cards, which is something that, you know, goes along with the game, makes sense, and I've liked it, you know, for this many years because I'm still playing. But I think it would be so cool, especially maybe going along with the whole Armory, is if you created a weapon that you could do something cool like that, where you could, you know, make your own kind of spell as well, where you can go into the battle and do a certain animation that does damage or does something cool. And that's something I always thought that should have been into the game, especially by now. Maybe another unique spell that you'll get once you hit a certain level would, instead of being like a beast, it could just be your character going into the battlefield and then doing something cool. But that's one thing I thought about, and let's go ahead and go to number 8. Alright guys, so for number 8, I thought of choices. So in a lot of games, for example, Warframe, I've played that for a while, noticed that it was extremely fun, the different missions and all that, but once you got to a certain point, you were actually able to alter the storyline with choices. Wizard101 has so much capability and so much depth into the game that if it gave you a choice that would alter the storyline, even just a little bit, would be crazy. And that's something I've always thought of, especially even when we got to like Polaris and Mirage. I thought they would start giving you some choices on what would happen in the game, especially not that would change you as a person in the game, like that it would make you automatically a shadow wizard and, you know, stuff like that, but you know, anything that would, you know, just alter the storyline just a little bit. And I think that would go along the lines, especially in, you know, the whole mission board, especially if you went into a dungeon for the message board, or the mission board, and you did something crazy, it would alter the little dungeon or battle that you were doing. I think that would bring a lot more depth into the game and a lot more interaction, and more, it would make your character feel a little bit more part of the storyline rather than you actually playing the storyline and everybody knows exactly what's going to happen. And if you do something, it kind of spoils it for everybody if everybody sees it already. So doing something that kind of has your own choice or choice, or something that you can create your own path or way, would be an extremely cool way to make your character feel more part of the story. So that, I think, would be something they should add into the game. And let's go ahead and go to the next one. Alright, so for number 9, I decided that something that should be added into the game is character skills. I know this is going to be very, very broad of a term, but something that I think that should be added, because this game is supposedly an MMORPG, I always thought that when it's an MMORPG, If you typed, for example, /sit in the chat, your character would actually get off its mount or do whatever and sit down on the ground. Or if you type /rest, it would make your character get on the ground and take a nap. And I feel like that brings a lot more RPG feel to the actual game. And if this game is supposedly an MMORPG, MMO means massive multiplayer online. That's what that means. And then RPG means role-playing game. Role-playing is not really part of this game. So I feel like one thing that would be really cool is doing something that's along the lines of your character. And then even like I was going to talk about character skills. You know, that would be a skill that your character can do. But even stuff, for example, going back to the whole, you know, mission board, going into a dungeon, doing something with your character. For example, if you go into a cave for a mission, you know, you hit the message board, or you know, the mission board. You know, find a mission that has goes into a cave and you have to save somebody. You go to the cave. It's dark. So what you might need is somebody with fire. You have them use a character skill that creates fire and light for the area, which would be so cool. Or even maybe a place where you have to go to Grizzleheim and you know, you have to camp out for a while. You have to have somebody set up use a character skill and you know, set up a campfire, or somebody that can cook food, or somebody that can do certain things. That would be really, really cool. I feel like that would bring a lot more MMO RPG to the actual game that we don't actually really have now. And that this could go along the lines with anything, you know, fire, ice, storm, myth, you know, life, they can heal people, would bring a lot more character, you know, skill or character interaction into the actual game, which I think this game kind of needs, especially now, because a lot of games are doing a lot of cool stuff like this. So that's just one thing I think that would be really cool for the whole interface of the game, and create a lot more connection with your character. So yeah. And last but not least, for number 10, something that I think should and would that would be amazing to be into the game, would be a day and night cycle. This would create so many possibilities for this game. Now, adding this into every world would be absolutely amazing, but I know everything that I've talked about in this entire video would be very hard to do. It would create a little bit more amazing things to do in the game, but I know it would be very hard to do for KyleIceW. But a day and night cycle would be an amazing thing for the game, and so many people will talk about it, so many people want it, and having the ability to literally have a day and night cycle would bring a lot of amazing things to the game. For example, if you go to a certain area when it's nighttime, it would have certain mobs spawn out, and if you go, you know, inside or outside, having the windows or the lights, you know, changing would be a very interesting thing. For like when you're in Marleybone, nighttime doesn't really look too much different than daytime. The only difference is the light source went on your character and kind of on the ground. But having the difference of light and dark would make the game feel a little bit more alive, and I think that's something that this game really, really needs. So, yeah. So I think that's actually everything that I want to talk about in this video. Please, if you guys have any other suggestions, leave them in the comment section. I really want to know what you guys think should be in this game, or that, you know, that would make it better. And please don't say PvP changes, because we all know that that's a thing that needs to be changed. But that would be for another video maybe. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Please turn on post notifications, and it'll notify you whenever I post a brand new video. And I really guys hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in my next video. So yeah, bye guys!